It's Friday, obviously, and I'm ticked off. So, however, I'm not ticked off at anybody in my audience. I'm not ticked off at people who email me. I'm not ticked off at anybody you know about. This is a brand new story, and I had the most annoying experience with a medical facility, an urgent care facility. And I may have mentioned in a video a couple weeks ago that I had a situation where I woke up one morning feeling ill. And I had some issues where my eyes were kind of doing this with the images in front of me. And at one point in time, I was, and excuse this, but one time I was throwing up. And so I felt very, very sick. And that was a Saturday. So I sat around all day Saturday wondering what was going on. And someone said, Steve, you might have vertigo. And I said, well, vertigo is a symptom, isn't it? And they said, no, technically vertigo actually can be an illness in and of itself, where something in your ear goes out of whack. And because of your balance being off and your brain trying to process all the information it gets from both your eyes and your balancing mechanisms, that it can make you feel the way you feel, including cause you to be nauseated. And so I said, that's interesting. So as the day progressed, I felt better. So I went to bed very, very carefully at night. Sunday morning, woke up and felt like garbage. I felt as bad Sunday morning as I had Saturday morning. So the bit about, getting better and then going to sleep didn't help. It was right back where I started. So I poked around on the internet and I found an urgent care facility that was open not far from me because my doctor wasn't available and the place I normally go to wasn't available. And so I called and they were open, so I raced over there. Someone else drove me, by the way, just to be on the safe side, make sure you understand that, so I don't get angry messages from people saying, Steve, you shouldn't drive and you're not feeling good. I was the passenger in the vehicle. So got to the urgent care facility, checked in, and they said, well, do you have insurance? And I said, well, yes, I do, but I have a gigantic deductible, which I've never hit. I don't get anywhere near my deductible. Most years, I go to the doctor once or twice a year, usually for poison ivy or poison oak. So this was an unusual experience for me to be going to a doctor for something else. And so if you take away poison ivy, poison oak, or bronchitis, I've not been to the doctor for any illness for probably 10 years, 15 years. I'd have to think about it. I'm not even sure. So I said, well, I've got this insurance, but it's horrible. Can I just pay you? I'd rather just pay you. And they said, no, that's not how we do it here. We'll run it through your insurance, and then if whatever they don't cover, then we'll bill you for. And I said, okay, but it seems like a dumb thing. I know that you're going to have to bill me, so why not bill me now and I'll pay you now? Woman goes, that's not how we do it. Don't worry about it. The doctor will see you shortly. So a few minutes later, they call me back, go back in the room. Someone comes in and sees me, not a doctor, by the way. And the person says, I think you've got vertigo, and goes through a bunch of tests and things and explanations. And sure enough, it sounds like they might be right. And that person says, I'll send a doctor in to double check. And another person comes in and goes, by the way, I'm not a doctor, but I'm just one of these people who works here. But it sounds to me like you've got vertigo. And then said, we're going to prescribe you some things like an antibiotic to make sure it's not an ear infection, which could be causing vertigo. And then anti-nausea medicine, which was magical. Okay, I love that stuff. And then some instructions on things you can do to avoid this in the future, that kind of stuff. And so I walked out and I went by the counter and I said, can I pay my bill? It's just going to be easier if I pay the bill. And the woman goes, I'm sorry, you cannot pay the bill right now. And I said, okay. And she goes, the way our bookkeeping is set up, we aren't even capable of taking money from you, which is an odd way to run a business, but who am I to suggest that I understand how to run a business better than anybody else? So I said, okay, that's fine. That was at the end of March. So now a few weeks have gone by, roughly 3, maybe 4. And I realized I'd never gotten a bill from these people. And of course, I know that my insurance didn't pay for it because my insurance doesn't have to pay for it. So I'm sitting around at my office and all of a sudden the phone rings. I don't recognize the phone number. And I answer it, and it is a debt collector. I've been turned into collections for not paying the bill that I've never seen. And frankly, I'd never been told how big it even was. I've been turned into a debt collection company. So I called the number back because they said that, we're trying to collect this debt and, that kind of thing. I called back and they gave me a claim number and all this stuff. And the weird part is that when I called back immediately, I think they're not actually expecting people to call them back because they actually said, number one, this phone call may be recorded for monitoring purposes, not quality control, but monitoring purposes. I suspect the phone call is being listened to for monitoring purposes too. But anyways, I kept getting the recording, so I'd hang up and call back. Finally, I got somebody on the phone, and I'm just speculating here, but I don't think they were in America. It sounded like a call center. A person with a very, very heavy accent, barely spoke any English, and the guy says, yes, what do you have a claim number? And I give him the claim number, and he goes, oh, yes, and he punches this thing, and he goes, okay, so you owe some money to this urgent care facility. I said, yes, I do. And the guy said, well, are you prepared to pay that? I said, yes. I said, but number one, I don't know how much it is. Do you know how much it is? And he goes, hang on. And he put me on hold 3 or 4 times. Literally, I'd ask him a question. He may have been consulting a dictionary to find out what I was saying to translate words from his language back and forth. Because every time I asked him a question, he put me on hold. 5 minutes later, come back on the line. So at one point in time, I said, how much is the bill? And he goes, $229, which, by the way, is an outrageous amount to pay. I've been to urgent cares. They never charge that much. But $229. And again, a doctor never even saw me. I don't even know if there's a doctor in the building. There might not have been a doctor on the premises, but $229. I said, okay. I said, and how do I pay that? Guy goes, hang on a second. Puts me back on hold. He comes back and he goes, I'm not sure, but for some weird reason, you were turned into us, but your file is incomplete and we're missing some information here. I go, well, you know how much I owe you, and you have my name, address, phone number, all that stuff. Why can't I just pay you? And he said, well, because when they turn you into the collections, they're supposed to send over some other information which we don't have. And I said, so you're telling me right now that you're not equipped to take my money either? And he goes, hang on a second. 5 minutes later, gets back on the phone and goes, no, I cannot take your money right now. I said, so what do I do? Because they say I owe them money. They've sicked you guys on me. And you won't take my money either. And by the way, I offered to pay this the day I was in the facility. I offered to pay it before I saw anybody. I actually said, can I just pay you now? And the guy goes, I don't know what to tell you. He goes, but if you call them, they will give you a link that you can click on that will bring you back to here, but it will contain information to allow you to pay us. I said, oh, thank you. And I hung up on the guy. So then I called the urgent care place itself, and it says, stay tuned for the various numbers you might want to have, extensions and so on. And it goes, number 1 for billing. So they anticipate that the most common phone call they're going to get is for billing purposes. I assume about number 4 or 5, it's going to say in case of an emergency, call 911, but billing is the number 1 thing, because that's press 1 for billing. So I pressed 1, and a woman comes on the phone, and she's local, I'm guessing. And I said, hey, here's my information. I said, but you guys have turned me into a collection agency, which I think is kind of unusual considering I offered to pay the day I was there, both on the way in and on the way out. And she goes, well, that's a third-party billing company. That's not really a collection agency. And I said, okay, but the point is, I've never gotten a bill from you. She goes, okay, what's your information? I give it to her, and she clicks away, and she goes, oh, yes, you're in, you're on, and she gives me the date. I said, yes, I was. And I said, and when I walked in and I gave my information to the person behind the counter, I offered to pay the bill at that moment in time. And then as I was walking out, I again offered to pay it because I knew that my insurance deductible, which is like $1 trillion, is never going to get hit. Therefore, I may as well just pay it now. And the woman goes, well, we're not equipped to do that. I said, you're not equipped to have people pay you for your services when the services are rendered. She goes, no, we're not. I said, so what if I had no insurance? She goes, well, you had insurance. I said, yeah, but if I'd said I had no insurance, could I have just paid you then? And then she said, and this is the brilliant part, she goes, no. I go, why not? She goes, we don't know how much you owe us at that moment in time. I said, so when I walk in the door and I offer to pay you, I haven't been seen by a non-doctor yet, so I understand you don't know how much to charge me. As I'm walking out the door, though, you should know how much to charge me. She goes, no, we don't. I said, when do you know how much to charge a person? She goes, I'm not in charge of that, but it's later. It's later. So as far as I can tell, and I could be wrong on this, but as far as I can tell, this is the only place in my life where I've gone in someplace with the intention of buying goods or services, and they say, we will provide you the services. And when you leave, we have no idea how much we're charging you. If you want to pay us, you cannot pay us at that time. We will send you a bill later. Now, think of the idiocy of this. Because if I walk into a store and I go, how much for this? It'll probably have a price tag on it. But if not, they'll go, oh, that's $1.98. Oh, okay. How much is this? Oh, that's $2.99. How much is this? Oh, we don't know. How about this? You take it and we'll send you a bill. Think about how dumb that is. And I understand it's a little different with medical services because for all they know, when I go back in the room, I'm on a code and they have to bring out the paddles and start zapping me back to life. And they may have to like intubate me and give me IVs. Who knows? Right? Okay. Going in, they might have no idea what to charge me. Coming out, they should. Can you imagine you sit down at a restaurant, you order a meal, the menu's got no prices on it. If you need to ask, you can't afford, right? So the menu's got no prices on it. So you eat your meal, and in the end, the waitress comes by and says, okay, we'll bill you. How much is it going to be? Don't know. When will you know? Sometime after you leave. We'll bill you. So that to me is mind-boggling, that their business model is such that they actually cannot tell you with any degree of precision what it's going to cost you for the services they're going to render you. And worse, they cannot tell you what the cost of the services is after they render them. They can't tell you what the cost of the services is. The cost is, that's actually a correct agreement there. They can't tell you what the cost is even after they've rendered them. So is there somebody with a magic 8-ball in the back room shaking it and making up numbers? What are they doing that they can't say, oh, guy came in, was here for 15 minutes, seen by 3 people who weren't doctors, and walked out? There's got to be a charge for that. How much is the charge? Don't know. We don't know how that works. That's confusing. That's higher math. That would involve some kind of magic. What? And here's the problem. I can tell you that in most states, there are laws regarding how items and services are priced for consumers. And I can also tell you that 2 industries are completely exempted from that. The medical industry and the ancillary industry that sells you the things that you go in and you get with a prescription. I purposely said it that way to see if this video gets demonetized. We'll find out. I'll do a video about that some other day. But my point is that they're exempted from all those consumer protection statutes. So it is, I presume, absolutely legal for an urgent care facility to actually say, you can come in here, ask us what we're going to charge you, and we'll tell you we don't know. Render you services, and then when you leave, say, we still don't know what you're going to get charged, and then turn you into collections when the insurance company says this guy hasn't met his deductible yet. And I actually asked the woman, I said, I'm just curious, shouldn't you send me a bill first before you send me to collections? And she said, yeah, sometimes that happens, I'm sorry. Sometimes that happens, I'm sorry. And so I told her, I said, well, my concern is I've actually got a pretty good credit rating. I certainly hope this won't reflect badly on my credit rating. And she said, oh, I don't think it will, because if we just turned you in the other day and they called you today and you paid, you're fine. Oh, okay, deadbeat. When are you going to pay us again? One of the most amazing transactions I've ever had. And yes, it was a place I've never dealt with before. I'll never deal with them again. The only reason I went there is it was a weekend morning and the place I normally go to wasn't open. Lesson learned, next time, tough it out till Monday and go in on Monday. And guess what? When you walk out of that place, they'll let you pay them. What a novel concept. Because underlying all of this, I'm sure many of you caught this already, the problem is they can charge you anything they want. Once you walk out, they can go, it's $900 if they want to. This place charged $230, whatever it was, $229. The other place I go to is less than half of that. So why didn't they just say it's $400, $900, $1,200? What can you possibly do to argue with them later? And you understand that the reason they do that is they will charge whatever the market will bear, and the bulk of the people who come in are turning it into insurance, and the insurance will object if the price is too high. But someone who walks in who's foolishly paying with cash, what's that? They charge them whatever they feel like. And so if they had submitted a $229 bill to an insurance company after the deductible had hit by the client, the patient, the insurance company go, no, we're not going to pay $229 for a 15-minute visit where no doctor even came within like 100 feet of this guy. No, we'll pay you half that. Take it and be happy. And they would take it, by the way. So it was an absurd experience. Again, my lesson learned, don't ever go to that urgent care again. Don't get sick. Number 2, it's just crazy how things are. I got friends in Canada. I got friends in New Zealand. I got friends in Australia. I've got friends in England. And they all hear these stories about the American healthcare system. And they're like, you guys do what now? Why would you do that? Oh, well, there's a lot of reasons, which I won't go into now. But suffice it to say that for a few minutes there today, I was concerned that my credit rating was going to take a ding. So I've been turned into collections for a bill I'd never seen. And by the way, I never saw the bill. I paid it over the phone, gave the woman the information, paid it over the phone. I got nothing to prove that I did that. Now, it'll show up someplace down the road on my bank records, and I'll be able to prove that. But they never sent me a bill. Never sent me a bill. So that is my rant for this week. Sorry about that, but I'm feeling better. That's good. So I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.